Captain Ji-hoon Kim stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, staring at the impossible readings on his screen. His hands gripped the edge of the console hard enough that his knuckles turned white. The numbers didn't lie, but they didn't make sense either. "Run it again," he said quietly. Nari Choi, his chief science officer, shook her head. Her dark eyes were wide, with something between hope and terror. "I've run it 17 times, Captain. The signature is unmistakable. That's Earth, right where it's supposed to be." Ji-hoon felt his heart pound in his chest. Earth, the world his great-grandmother had told him about in bedtime stories. The blue planet that vanished 500 years ago, taking billions of people with it. Every human alive today lived on this ship, the last colony vessel that had been in deep space when the disappearance happened. 50,000 souls, all that remained of humanity. "It's not possible," Doyen Park said from the security station. "The scarred man never trusted good news. Earth is gone. Everyone knows that." "Everyone knows Earth vanished," Nari corrected him. "Nobody knows where it went. Maybe it just came back." The bridge fell silent. Around them, the vast colony ship hummed with life. 50,000 people who had never seen their homeworld. 50,000 people who had been born, lived, and would die among the stars. They had been searching for a new planet to call home for generations. And now, impossibly, their original home had returned. "Sir, we're being hailed," the communications officer announced. "Multiple ships. They're not human." Ji-hoon's jaw tightened. On screen, the view screen flickered to life, showing a dozen sleek vessels surrounding them. They were beautiful in a strange way, built from what looked like living crystal that pulsed with inner light. The lead ship moved closer, and a face appeared on the screen. The alien was tall and thin, its skin seeming to shift between translucent and opaque. Where eyes should be, there were clusters of small crystals that glowed with a soft blue light. When it spoke, the translation came through clearly. "Unknown vessel, you are in Alvari territory. This system is forbidden. Depart immediately, or be destroyed." Ji-hoon stepped forward. "I am Captain Ji-hoon Kim of the human colony ship Eternal Dawn. That planet below us is Earth, our homeworld. We claim right of return." The alien's crystals dimmed, then brightened again. It seemed confused. "Human? There are no humans. Humanity died 500 years ago when their world vanished. We erected monuments to honor their memory. You cannot be human." "We are human," Ji-hoon insisted. "Our ship was in deep space when Earth disappeared. We've been searching for a new home ever since. And now Earth is back." More alien ships appeared around them, surrounding the Eternal Dawn completely. The crystal being leaned forward, its features hardening into something that might have been anger. "Earth is a memorial world, sacred and untouched. If you are truly human, you are ghosts. And ghosts do not disturb the dead. Leave now, or we will fire upon you." Nari moved to Ji-hoon's side, her voice urgent and low. "Captain, I'm getting strange readings from Earth. The planet is there, but something's wrong. Cities are intact. The oceans are full. But there's no life, not even bacteria. It's like everything just stopped." Ji-hoon felt a chill run down his spine. He looked at the planet on the secondary screen. It hung in space like a blue and green jewel, exactly as the old picture showed. But if Nari was right, it was a tomb. A perfectly preserved corpse of a world. "How long until we can analyze it properly?" he asked. "We need to get closer. Much closer. Ideally, we need to land a team." The Alvari commander spoke again, its voice sharp. "You have 1 hour to leave this system. After that, we will consider you hostile and act accordingly." The screen went dark. Around the bridge, the crew looked at Ji-hoon, waiting for orders. He could feel the weight of their expectations, the hope that maybe, just maybe, they had found their way home. Doyan stepped up beside him. "We can't fight them, sir. We have 50,000 civilians on this ship. We're not a warship." "I know," Ji-hoon said, but he was already making a decision that he knew might doom them all. "Prepare a landing shuttle. Small crew. Nari, Doyan, and whoever volunteers. We go down quietly while their attention is on the main ship. They'll shoot us down," Doyan warned. "Maybe, but I need to know what happened to Earth. I need to know if it's really home. Or just a grave." Ji-hoon turned to face his crew. "This is humanity's birthplace. We've traveled for 500 years. Our children have never breathed real air or felt real rain. If there's any chance that Earth can be our home again, we have to take it." An hour later, Ji-hoon sat in the pilot seat of a small shuttle with 5 others. Nari checked her equipment nervously. Doyan loaded weapons that looked ancient compared to what the Alvari carried. Haijin Lee, their medical officer, clutched a small case of supplies. 2 others, Sujin Yoon and Minho Kong, completed their team. "Everyone ready?" Ji-hoon asked. They nodded, though fear showed on every face. He fired the engines and broke away from the eternal dawn, heading straight for Earth. The planet grew larger in the viewport, clouds swirling over familiar continents. For a moment, it was beautiful. For a moment, it felt like coming home. Then every system in the shuttle died at once. The engines cut out. The lights went dark. The controls went dead under Ji-hoon's hands. They were falling, pulled down by Earth's gravity, with nothing to slow them. "Hold on," Ji-hoon shouted, but it was useless advice. They crashed through the atmosphere, the hull heating up and screaming. He caught glimpses of land rushing up to meet them, buildings that looked both familiar and impossibly old. They hit the ground hard. The impact threw Ji-hoon forward against his straps. Metal tore and glass shattered. The world spun, and then everything went still. When Ji-hoon opened his eyes, his head pounded and blood ran down his face. He looked around. Everyone was alive, groaning and moving. Through the cracked viewport, he could see ruins. Tall buildings reached toward a gray sky, their windows empty and dark. Streets stretched between them, cracked and overgrown. I crawled to the viewport and pressed her hand against the glass. "Captain," she whispered, "those signs, that architecture, this is Seoul. We're in Seoul." Ji-hoon unbuckled his straps and stood on shaking legs. They had crashed on Earth, on humanity's lost homeworld. And somewhere out there in the ruins of Seoul, they might find answers to what happened 500 years ago. If the Alvari didn't find them first, the air on Earth smelled wrong. Ji-hoon stood outside the crashed shuttle, breathing deeply, and realized what it was. There was no smell at all. No rot, no growth, no life. Just dust and silence. Sujin checked the shuttle's engines, her hands moving over the burned components with practiced ease. "We're not flying out of here, Captain. Whatever hit us fried everything. We'd need parts we don't have. Can you get communications working?" Ji-hoon asked. "Maybe. Give me a few hours." She pulled out a toolkit and got to work. The rest of them stood in the middle of an empty street, surrounded by the ghosts of a city. Seoul had been one of Earth's greatest cities, home to millions. Now it was a maze of silent towers and empty roads. Cars sat where they had been abandoned, their tires flat and their metal rusted. Buildings leaned against each other, their glass windows like blind eyes. Minho knelt and pressed his hand to the street. As a biologist, he should have found something. Bacteria, insects, plants pushing through the cracks. But there was nothing. "It's sterile," he said quietly. "Completely sterile. I've never seen anything like it." Everyone disappeared at once. Hygiene said. She stood in front of what had once been a restaurant, its chairs still arranged around tables. Look, food still on the plates. It's just dust now, but you can see where it was. People were eating, and then they were just gone. Doyan kept his weapon ready, his eyes scanning every shadow. We need to find shelter before dark. And before the Alvare come looking for us. Ji-hoon nodded. Nari, any ideas where we should search? The science officer pulled up a holographic map on her portable device, one of the few pieces of equipment that still worked. Government buildings. If anyone knew what was happening, it would be them. There's a research facility about 2 kilometers from here. Underground. It might still have power. They moved through the dead city carefully. Every step echoed too loudly. Every shadow seemed to hide something. But they encountered nothing. No animals, no plants, no people. Just endless emptiness. The research facility entrance was hidden beneath what had once been a university. They found stairs leading down into darkness. Doyan lit a portable light, and they descended into the earth. After 3 levels, they found a massive steel door. It was locked, but the lock was mechanical, not electronic. Doyan worked at it with tools until it clicked open. Inside, emergency lights flickered to life. The facility had backup power that had lasted 500 years. They walked through corridors lined with laboratories and offices. Papers lay scattered on desks. Computer screens sat dark and dead. And then they found the main research chamber. It was huge, filled with equipment and screens and machinery that Ji-hoon didn't understand. But Nari understood. She moved from console to console, her hands flying over the keyboards. Some of them still worked, pulling data from ancient hard drives. There, she breathed. Oh God, there it is. What? Ji-hoon moved to her side. Nari pulled up files that were 500 years old. Documents and videos in race. Urch reports. She played one of the videos. A woman appeared on the screen, her face tired and afraid. She wore a government uniform and stood in this very room. This is Dr. Park Minji, head of Project Threshold, the woman said. If you're watching this, it means we failed. Or maybe we succeeded, but something went wrong. I'll start at the beginning. The video explained everything. 20 years before Earth vanished, scientists detected something. An anomaly in deep space, moving toward the galaxy. When they analyzed it, they realized it was alive. Or something like alive. A force that consumed reality itself, leaving nothing behind. They called it the Voidborn. Earth's governments panicked. They couldn't fight it. They couldn't run far enough, fast enough. So they tried something desperate. They built machines that could shift the entire planet into a pocket dimension, a bubble of reality separate from the rest of the universe. They would hide Earth until the threat passed, then return. The calculations said it would be safe to return in 10 years. Dr. Park said on the screen. Her voice shook. But dimensional physics is unpredictable. If something goes wrong, we might return later. Or never. I'm sorry. We're so sorry. But it was this or watch humanity die. The video ended. The room fell silent. They hid the entire planet, Minho whispered. That's incredible. They hid it for 500 years instead of 10, Doyan growled. That's a failure. Nari shook her head, already pulling up more files. No, wait. Look at this. Time moved differently in the pocket dimension. For Earth, it was only 10 years. But outside, 500 years passed. When the planet tried to return automatically, the math was wrong. It took this long to force its way back. Where did everyone go? Haijin asked. If Earth was in the pocket dimension for 10 years, where are all the people? Nari's fingers froze on the keyboard. She opened another file, and her face went pale. A dimensional shift. It required massive energy. They used it all. Every power plant, every generator, everything. And when they activated it, the energy draw was so great that it pulled life force too. Every living thing on Earth died instantly, converted to energy to power the shift. It was supposed to be temporary. They had equipment to reverse it when they returned. But it never activated. Ji-hoon felt sick. They killed themselves to save themselves. They killed themselves to save the species, Nari corrected quietly. Ships like the Eternal Dawn were in space. They knew you would survive. This was always a sacrifice. Yoonji, who had been quiet until now, spoke up from where she was working on another console. Captain, I'm picking up something. Energy readings. They're coming from the Pacific Ocean. Something's active. Nari ran to join her. Together, they pulled up sensor data. What they saw made them both step back in shock. There's a portal opening, Nari said. A dimensional rift. It's huge. And it's growing. The pocket dimension is collapsing, Yoonji added. Whatever is left of it is breaking apart. And when it does, it's going to tear a hole right here, right where Earth is. Ji-hoon felt dread settle in his stomach. What comes through that hole? Nari looked at him with fear in her eyes. Whatever Earth was hiding from. The Void-Born. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Doyun ran to the entrance and looked up the stairs. We've got company. Alvari soldiers, at least 20 of them. They found us. Ji-hoon made a decision fast. Nari, Yoonji, download everything. All the research, all the files. We need this information. Doyun, Minho, Haijin, with me. We buy them time. They ran up the stairs and emerged into the fading daylight. The Alvari soldiers stood in a semicircle around the entrance, their crystalline weapons aimed and ready. They looked beautiful and deadly, their bodies glowing with inner light. Surrender, their leader commanded. You have violated sacred space. You will come with us for judgment. Doyun didn't lower his weapon. This is our world. You put up monuments to us, but you don't own our home. You are dead. Ghosts. The past cannot return. Watch us, Ji-hoon said. The fight was brief but violent. Doyun fired first. His ancient human weapon crude but effective. The Alvari scattered, returning fire with beams of focused light that cut through stone and metal. Ji-hoon and the others took cover, fighting with desperation that the Alvari clearly didn't expect. These aliens had lived in peace for centuries. They didn't remember how to fight something that refused to die. Humans, though, had spent 500 years on a failing ship, fighting every day just to survive. They knew desperation. They knew how to make every shot count. 3 Alvari fell before their leader called a retreat. The crystalline beings pulled back, regrouping in the distance. They hadn't expected resistance. They hadn't expected humans to fight back. Nari and Yoonji emerged from the facility, carrying data drives. We got it all. Everything about Project Threshold and the Void-Born. Good, Ji-hoon said, because things are about to get much worse. As if in answer, the ground shook beneath their feet. In the distance, toward the ocean, the sky began to tear apart. A massive rift opened in the air itself, crackling with dark energy. And through it, something began to push through. Something vast and terrible and hungry. The Void-Born had found Earth. Again, the thing that emerged from the rift in the sky was impossible to look at directly. Ji-hoon tried, and his eyes watered, his mind struggling to understand what he was seeing. It was massive, stretching across kilometers of sky. It had no clear shape, constantly shifting and changing. One moment it looked like a vast mouthful of teeth made from broken stars. The next, it was a tangle of limbs that reached toward the ground with fingers that dripped darkness. Back to the shuttle, Doyan shouted. Now! They ran through the empty streets of Seoul as the thing above them grew larger. The rift widened, and more of it pushed through. The air itself seemed to scream. Buildings near the rift began to dissolve, simply ceasing to exist as the Voidborn touched them. Sujin had the shuttle's communications partially working when they arrived. I've got a signal to the Eternal Dawn. It's weak, but it's there. Send everything we found, Ji-hoon ordered, helping Nari upload the data files. Tell them about the Voidborn. Tell them what's coming. Above them, the sky lit up with weapons fire. The Alvari fleet had engaged the Voidborn, their crystalline ships launching beams of beautiful light at the creature. The beams hit it and passed through without effect. The Voidborn reached out with one of its impossible limbs and touched an Alvari ship. The ship didn't explode. It simply stopped being, erased from reality like it had never existed. More ships arrived, warping in from across the galaxy. Ji-hoon saw designs he didn't recognize. Different species, different technologies, all coming to face the threat. But none of their weapons worked. The Voidborn grew larger with each ship it consumed. Captain, incoming transmission, Sujin said. It's not from the Eternal Dawn. It's from the Galactic Council. They want to talk to you. Ji-hoon activated the communication. A dozen alien faces appeared on the screen, representing the various species that ruled the galaxy. They looked afraid. One of them spoke, a being that looked like it was made of flowing water held together by energy fields. Human vessel, this is Supreme Counselor Wavecrest. We have received your data. We understand now what happened to Earth, but you have brought great danger back with you. We didn't bring anything, Ji-hoon snapped back. Your people told us Earth was gone. Earth came back on its own, and this thing followed. Another counselor, this one resembling a massive insect, clicked its mandibles. The Voidborn swept through our galaxy 500 years ago. It destroyed thousands of worlds before we managed to drive it away. Barely. Millions died. We thought it was gone forever. Well, it's back, Ji-hoon said. He watched through the shuttle window as another ship vanished. And your weapons don't work against it. A third counselor spoke, the Alvari leader who had threatened them earlier. Up close, Ji-hoon could see its crystal structure pulsing with distress. We know. Our weapons are designed to disable, to stop conflict without death. We have not built weapons of destruction in 400 years. Not since the last war. That's your problem, Doyan said, pushing into view of the camera. You forgot how to fight. And you remember? The water being asked, Ji-hoon made a decision. Yes, we do. Download the files we sent. The section marked Threshold Defense. Earth spent 10 years in that pocket dimension. But they didn't just hide. They studied the Voidborn. They built weapons specifically designed to hurt it. The council chamber erupted in alien voices, all talking at once. Finally, the Alvari counselor raised its crystalline hand for silence. You have weapons that can kill this thing? We have designs, theories. Our people 500 years ago were working on them when they died. They never got to test them. Ji-hoon looked at the data on his own screen. But it's a chance. More than what you have now. Another counselor, a reptilian creature covered in dark scales, hissed angrily. Why should we trust you? Humans vanished 500 years ago. You return, and this monster appears. Perhaps you brought it intentionally. Perhaps this is an invasion. Don't be stupid, Nari cut in. We have 50,000 people on one ship. You have trillions across thousands of worlds. What kind of invasion is that? She's right, Taeyan said, stepping into view on the council feed. Ji-hoon recognized the Alvari liaison, the one who had studied human culture. I have spent my entire life researching humans. They were not a warlike species. They valued life, art, beauty. They would not do this. The reptilian counselor wasn't convinced. They have weapons that can kill the Voidborn. That makes them dangerous. Perhaps we should destroy them now, before they become a threat. You're talking about genocide, Ji-hun said quietly. We're the last humans alive. You're talking about survival, the reptilian shot back. The galaxy's survival. The Alvari counselor flickered its crystals in what might have been disagreement. Counselor Vex, you go too far. These humans are victims, not villains. Are they? Vex leaned forward. Or are they a weapon waiting to be used? The debate continued, but Ji-hun stopped listening. He turned to his crew. We don't need their permission. Sujin, can you transmit these weapon designs to the Eternal Dawn? Already doing it, Captain. Good. Tell them to start building. Whatever we can make with what we have. An hour later, the first human weapon fired. It was crude, built from spare parts and ancient designs, mounted on the hull of the Eternal Dawn. It looked like it might explode at any moment. But when it fired, a beam of concentrated energy hit the Voidborn and the creature recoiled. For the first time, it showed pain. Every ship in the fleet stopped and stared. The impossible had happened. Something had hurt the Voidborn. All ships, this is Captain Ji-hun Kim. He broadcast on all frequencies. I'm sending you the weapon designs now. Build them. Copy them. Use them. We share this freely. No cost, no conditions. Just stop that thing before it eats the galaxy. The response was immediate. Ships began warping away to build the weapons. Others moved to defend the Eternal Dawn, while it fired again and again. The Voidborn thrashed, its impossible form twisting in rage. It reached toward the human ship, but Alvari vessels moved to intercept, sacrificing themselves to buy time. Tyen appeared on Ji-hun's screen again. Captain, I'm defecting from the Council. My ship and crew are at your disposal. Tell us how to help. You'll be branded a traitor, Ji-hun warned. That I'll be a traitor who saves the galaxy. She smiled, a strange expression on her crystalline features. I've studied your people my whole life. I've read your books, watched your films, listened to your music. Humanity was special. You didn't give up, even when you should have. Let me help you be special again. More ships returned, this time carrying copies of the human weapons. They formed a battle line and opened fire together. The Voidborn screamed, a sound that wasn't really a sound but a vibration in reality itself. It began to retreat back through the rift. But Nari was watching other readings, and what she saw made her blood run cold. Captain, the dimensional rift is expanding. The pocket dimension is collapsing completely. In 72 hours, it's going to tear a permanent hole in space. The Voidborn won't just be one creature anymore. It'll be able to pour through by the thousands. Ji-hun felt the weight of the universe pressing down on him. Can we stop it? Yes, maybe. We need to collapse the pocket dimension deliberately, in a controlled way. Close the rift before it tears open completely. How do we do that? Nari was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled up the research files from Earth. The same way they opened it. We use Earth's energy. We trigger a dimensional collapse right at ground zero. It'll seal the rift and trap the Voidborn on the other side. And Earth? Earth will be destroyed. Completely. Nothing will survive. Ji-hun looked at the planet below them. Humanity's birthplace. The world his ancestors had called home. Empty now, but still beautiful. Still precious. How long do we have to decide? He asked. 72 hours. After that, the decision gets made for us, and we all die. The council reconvened. This time, no one argued about whether to trust humans. They argued about whether they could afford to lose Earth. It's just one planet, some said. It's their homeworld. Others responded. Ji-hoon listened to them debate the value of his species' history, and he felt something harden inside him. Finally, he spoke up. Stop. This is not your choice to make. Earth belongs to humanity, and humanity will decide what happens to it. We have 72 hours to get everything we can off that planet. Then we're going to destroy it and save your galaxy. Not because you deserve it, but because it's the right thing to do. The council fell silent. Then, one by one, they began to nod. Even Counselor Vex, the reptilian who had called for human extinction, bowed its head in respect. Then we will help you, the Alvari counselor said. Whatever you need, we will provide. It's the least we can do. Ji-hoon ended the transmission and looked at his crew. They looked back at him with fear and sadness and determination. We have 72 hours, he said. Let's make them count. Ships descended from orbit like falling stars. Dozens at first, then hundreds. The Galactic Council had sent everything they could spare. Massive cargo vessels, small scout ships, even civilian transports. All of them coming to Earth to help humanity save what they could before the end. Ji-hoon organized the effort from the ground. He split the teams by mission. Sujin and Minho took a group to Svalbard, where the old seed vault held genetic samples of every plant species on Earth. Yoonji led another team to the largest data centers in Asia and Europe, downloading every book, every film, every song, every piece of human culture that still existed in digital form. Hygiene went to hospitals and research labs, searching for medical advances that Earth scientists had made during their 10 years in isolation. Doyan took the most dangerous mission. He led teams to military bases around the world, recovering weapons and defense technology. The galaxy might not need human weapons now, but someday they would. Someday they'd face another threat, and they'd be grateful humanity had been prepared. Ji-hoon stayed in Seoul, walking through the empty streets. He had a mission too, though it was more personal. He was looking for records, photos, proof that people had lived here, proof that billions of humans had existed before the Great Vanishing. He found a house in a residential district. The door was unlocked, hanging on broken hinges. Inside, dust covered everything, but he could still see how people had lived. A kitchen with dishes in the sink. A living room with a television and comfortable chairs. Bedrooms with clothes still in the closets. He found photos on the walls, faded but still visible. A family. Parents and 2 children smiling at the camera. He carefully took the photos down and packed them in a case. These people were gone. Their names were lost. But they had been real. They had mattered. And Ji-hoon would make sure the galaxy remembered that. Tyen found him there an hour later. The Alvari liaison had proven invaluable, coordinating between human and alien teams. Her crystalline body glowed softly in the dim light. Captain Ji-hoon, we have a problem, she said. Counselor Vex has sent ships. He's not helping with the evacuation. He's positioning them in orbit. Ji-hoon felt his stomach drop. How many? 20 warships, all armed with heavy weapons. Tyen's crystals pulsed with distress. I think he's going to attack. Why? We're already destroying Earth. What more does he want? I think he wants to destroy the Eternal Dawn. He's afraid of you, of what humans represent. She looked at the photos in his hands. He's afraid that if humans survive, you'll always be a threat. Better to eliminate you now while you're weak. Ji-hoon carefully packed the last photo and stood. Get me a channel to the Eternal Dawn, now. 5 minutes later, he was talking to Ji-ho Bai, the ship's weapons officer. A young woman with fire in her eyes and a reputation for creative solutions to impossible problems. "I see them, Captain," she said. "Vex's ships are holding position just outside our defense perimeter. They haven't fired yet. Can we fight them?" "Not with conventional weapons. They outnumber us and outgun us." She paused. "But we have something they don't. Desperation and a really stupid idea." Despite everything, Ji-hoon almost smiled. "Tell me, the void-born weapons we built, they're designed to hurt things that shouldn't exist, to damage reality itself. What if we reversed the polarity? Made them reinforce reality instead of tearing it? We could create shields. Shields that would be basically invulnerable because they'd exist in multiple dimensions at once. Can you do it in time?" "Already started. Taiyin sent me Alvari shield designs an hour ago. I'm combining them with human weapons theory and a prayer to any god that's listening. Do it." "And Jiho?" Ji-hoon looked at Taiyin, who was listening. "Thank you." The attack came at dawn. Vex's ships opened fire without warning, their weapons designed to punch through armor and destroy ships from the inside. The Eternal Dawn's shields lit up, the hybrid human Alvari design flaring to life. The weapons hit and stopped, their energy dispersing harmlessly. Jiho's voice came over the com, triumphant. "It worked. It actually worked." Vex's ships fired again and again, but nothing got through. Other council ships arrived, led by the Alvari fleet. The crystalline vessels positioned themselves between Vex and the humans. "Stand down, Counselor," the Alvari counselor broadcast. "Your actions violate every treaty we've made, every principle we hold sacred. They're dangerous." Vex's voice crackled across all frequencies. "Can't you see? They'll destroy us all eventually." "The only one destroying anything is you," Taiyin said, her ship moving to join the Alvari fleet. "I'm Alvari. I was raised to honor the dead, to preserve memory, to protect the sacred. These humans are doing all of that. They're sacrificing their—" Doyun nodded. "Already working on it." Taiyin volunteered to help. She wants to create a joint curriculum, combining human military doctrine with Alvari defensive philosophy. Taiyin had become humanity's strongest advocate on the council. Her defection during Vex's attack had made her a controversial figure among her own people, but it had also made her a symbol, a bridge between old and new, between fear and hope. Months passed. The Eternal Dawn settled into orbit around New Earth, while construction crews worked on the surface. The first buildings rose from empty plains. Farms were planted. Water systems were established. It was slow work, but every day brought progress. The human population began to grow as well. The ship had carried frozen embryos, genetic material stored for emergencies. Medical teams worked with Haijin to begin carefully expanding the population. It would take generations, but humanity would survive, and not just survive, thrive. Children were born who had never known the cramped corridors of a colony ship. The first baby born on New Earth was a girl named Nari, in honor of the science officer who had given everything. But Ji-hoon found that being an ambassador was harder than being a captain. Politics was a maze of alliances and rivalries, of ancient grudges and new hopes. He spent his days in meetings, negotiating trade agreements and defense pacts. He spent his nights reviewing reports and approving plans. He missed the simplicity of commanding a ship. He missed his crew. Some of them were still with him, like Doyan and Haijin, but others had moved on to new roles. Sujin was leading the agricultural development. Yoonji had become the director of the new Human Cultural Center, preserving and sharing everything they'd saved from Earth. 5 years after Earth's destruction, the Academy opened. It was built on New Earth, a massive complex that could house 10,000 students from across the galaxy. The design was a blend of human and alien architecture, with buildings that seemed to grow from the ground like crystalline trees. The first class included 200 students. Humans, Alvari, water beings, insectoids, reptilians, and dozens of other species. They learned combat tactics and defensive strategies. They studied crisis management and diplomatic solutions. They learned when to fight and when to talk, when to stand firm and when to compromise. Most importantly, they learned together. The walls between species began to break down. Friendships formed between beings who had never met before. Romances bloomed between humans and aliens, creating complicated questions about the future that the Council was still trying to answer. Doyan proved to be a natural teacher. His gruff exterior hid a deep desire to see others succeed. Ji-hoon watched him work with students, pushing them hard but fairly, and felt proud. This was what humanity could offer the galaxy. Not just weapons, but the knowledge of how to use them responsibly. 10 years after Earth's destruction, New Earth had a population of 50,000. The original ship crew plus the new generation born in space or on the new world. Cities rose from the plains. Forests were planted from the seeds Sujin had saved. Oceans were seeded with algae that would eventually support full ecosystems. It wasn't Earth. It would never be Earth. But it was home. Ji-hun stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city, watching the sun set over alien mountains. He was older now, gray touching his temples, lines deepening in his face. But he had lived to see humanity survive. That was enough, Captain Ji-hoon. A voice said behind him. He turned to find a young woman in a student uniform. She couldn't have been more than 20, with dark hair and curious eyes. Human, but she'd grown up on New Earth, never knowing the eternal dawn or the desperate years in space. "I'm not a captain anymore," he said gently. "Just Ji-hoon is fine." "Sorry, Ambassador Ji-hoon." She smiled. "I'm Hannah. I'm studying at the academy. I wanted to ask you something." "Go ahead." "Why did they do it? Nari and the others. Why did they stay on Earth when they could have escaped?" Ji-hoon had been asked this question 1,000 times. Politicians asked it. Historians asked it. Other humans asked it. And every time, he tried to find the right words. "Because humanity doesn't just survive," he said finally. "We make sure others survive too." Nari knew the galaxy needed to be saved. She knew it would cost everything. And she decided that was a price worth paying. "But Earth was our home," Hannah said. "Our history. Everything we were. How could giving that up be worth it?" Ji-hoon gestured to the city below them. "Look at this. Humans and aliens working together, building something new. The Academy alone has trained 5,000 people from 100 species in the last 10 years. Those people are out there now, protecting their worlds, saving lives." He pulled up a hologram on his device, showing recent reports. Here, a human-trained security team stopped a rebellion on a water world, saving thousands. Here, Alvari. Engineers using human shield technology to protect. A colony from asteroid impacts. Here, joint human-insectoid medical team that cured a plague that would have killed millions. He turned to Hannah. "Earth was our past. This is our future. Nari didn't give up our history. She made sure we'd have a future to create new history in." Hannah was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. "I get it. I think. We lost our home, but we gained the galaxy." Exactly. 25 years after Earth's destruction, the galaxy had transformed. The age of fearful peace had ended. In its place came an age of careful strength. Species that had hidden behind their borders now explored. Trade increased. Cultural exchanges happened regularly. And when threats appeared, the galaxy was ready. A pirate fleet attacking shipping lanes was stopped by a joint task force. A disease outbreak was contained by rapid deployment of medical teams. When a star went supernova and threatened a populated system, evacuation ships arrived within hours, coordinated by protocols humans had helped design. The Academy had trained 20,000 people. They were everywhere now, advisors and teachers and leaders. And they all carried the same lesson: survive, but make sure others survive. 2.50 years after Earth's destruction, Ji-hoon was an old man. He walked with a cane now, his body worn down by decades of work. But he still served as an advisor to the council, and he still woke every morning to continue building the future. He stood in the memorial park at the center of New Earth's capital. In the middle of the park, a holographic projection of Earth rotated slowly. It showed the planet as it had been, blue and green and beautiful. Around it, 6 statues stood: Nari, Sumin, Minho, and the 3 other volunteers. They faced outward, as if protecting the world they'd given up. Children played in the park, human and alien together. They climbed on the statues and chased each other through the grass. Their laughter filled the air. Ji-hoon watched them and felt something close to peace. They would have liked this, Taeyeon said, coming to stand beside him. She had aged too, her crystalline structure dimming slightly. Nari especially. She always said the best monuments were the ones children could play on. She did say that, Ji-hoon agreed. He remembered Nari's laugh, her fierce intelligence, her determination to do what was right, no matter the cost. I wish she could see what we built. I think she can. Taeyeon's crystals pulsed gently. My people believe the dead watch over us, that they guide us from beyond. Perhaps she's watching right now, proud of what humanity has become. A young couple walked past, a human man and an Alvari woman, holding hands. Such relationships were common now, though the biological incompatibilities meant they couldn't have children. But they could adopt, and many did, raising human and alien children together. The galaxy had changed. Species that once lived in isolation now worked together. Technologies that had been secrets were now shared. The barriers that had divided them for centuries were falling, one by one, and it had started with 6 people who decided that saving others was worth more than saving themselves. Ji-hoon watched a little girl, maybe 5 years old, run up to Nari's statue and hug its legs. She said something in a language Ji-hoon didn't recognize, probably thanking the statue for protecting her. Her father, a massive insectoid being, chittered fondly and scooped her up. What do you think happens next? Taeyeon asked. Next? Ji-hoon smiled. We keep going. We keep building. We keep making sure that what Nari and the others died for continues to matter. We spread out into the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as partners. We face whatever comes together, and if the Voidborn return, then we fight them, together, with everything we've learned and everything we've built. He looked at his old friend. But I don't think they will. I think we showed them that this galaxy is defended, that we're not helpless prey anymore. Taeyeon's crystals brightened. Humanity changed us, Ji-hoon. Before you returned, we were afraid. We lived small lives in small spaces, terrified that anything we did might bring back the horrors. You showed us that life is worth fighting for, that risks are worth taking, that fear is no way to live. You would have figured it out eventually. Maybe, but you got us there faster. She paused. The Council wants to send out exploration fleets, deep space missions beyond the known galaxy. They want humans to lead them. Ji-hoon felt a spark of the old excitement, the thrill of discovery that had kept him going during all those years searching for a home. That's good. That's really good. Will you go? He laughed. I'm too old for exploration now. But there are plenty of young people who aren't. Henna, that student who asked me,